Good afternoon, seventh grade HMS Bobcats. Mr. Flato here. Welcome back to another, what I hope will be a great week for you here at the Helena Middle School. On today's Bob lesson, I'm going to revisit a lesson I did last year on strategies for responding to people when they are disrespectful to you. Part of the reason I wanted to revisit this is because I think this isn't a really important skill for all of us to learn as we get older. You will find, unfortunately, that when you go through life, no matter what school you're at, no matter what grade you're at, no matter when you're an adult, no matter where you work, no matter what part of the country you're in, you're going to find people that are disrespectful to you everywhere, unfortunately. We are human beings who do not handle our frustrations, our anger, our emotions correctly. Not all of us, anyways, 100% of the time. And so much of when you get disrespected is standing up for yourself, communicating to that other person in one way or the other, in a way that fits your personality, that, hey, you're not going to disrespect me, and I don't appreciate being disrespected. It's a skill that takes a long time for some of us to develop. It's a skill that I don't know if it's ever fully developed in life, but a lot of that starts with having self-respect for yourself and communicating to the person that I'm not a doormat. You're not going to step on me. I'm not going to accept being disrespected, so on and so forth. So I believe I showed this last year in sixth grade, but I think it's really important, so I wanted to show it again. Seventh grade seems to be a year in my going on year 12 now, that there's a lot of interpersonal conflict in seventh grade. And so a lot of my seventh grade Bob lessons are going to be geared towards that. So wanted to review this. Hope you guys like it. Hope you guys get something out of it. Hope you get something more out of it than maybe you did last year. And I hope you all remember to treat each other with respect at all times if we can. And let's get rock and rolling on this Bob lesson.
All right, this week's Bob lesson is going to be talking about strategies for responding to disrespect. But first, let's be our best this week at HMS. Let's be safe, let's be responsible, let's be respectful, and let's be a learner. So, as I've said before, unfortunately, we are all human beings. Unfortunately, us as human beings, we make mistakes. Sometimes people have bad days and don't handle their negative emotions and negative energy appropriately. And oftentimes, when we are not handling our negative emotions or our negative energy appropriately, this can come off as disrespect to other people or spewing that disrespect onto other people. In the counseling world, we call this projection. We take our negative energy, our negative emotions, and sometimes we snap and we disrespect other people, and there's somewhat of a transference of that negative energy from us onto someone else. And so when this happens, what should we do? All right, but first, before we talk about strategies, let's talk about what someone who's being disrespectful really wants to see happen. Because in order to understand how we should react, we first need to understand what someone who is acting disrespectfully really wants to see as an end result. Okay? 9 times out of 10, they want to see you get upset. They want to see you get sad. They want to see you get angry. They want to see you get embarrassed. They want to see you become insecure, etc., etc. So the last thing you should do is give into the disrespect and give them the result they are really looking for. That is the key to this whole thing, is we are not going to give in and give them the desired result, which is what they want. When we give them the result they're looking for, it only further encourages the behavior because they see it as working, and it increases the likelihood that they will continue to do it. Okay, now I'm getting a little artistic here. I've said it a million times. I'm not an artistic person. This is not my strength, but I also know we have some visual learners out there, so I'm doing this for you guys. Okay, when we're talking about somebody having a bad day and not handling it in an appropriate manner, what we're really talking about is a term we use in the counseling world called projection. Okay, and this projection essentially is when somebody's not feeling very good and they take those negative emotions, they take those negative energies, and they dump that onto somebody else So now somebody else is feeling kind of crummy and now they're feeling good. It's kind of like taking the garbage out. You have a stinky garbage in your room or in your office, and you take that garbage out and you put it into the big garbage can. I'm projecting all of that negativity onto somebody else. I'm getting it off of me and onto somebody else. So you can see I got two stick figures here. I got one in red, one in yellow. Yellow person is having a great day. Red person not so much. So they take that ickiness and if you follow it up the tube into the arrow there, they're going to try to put it onto somebody else. So what ends up happening? Well, that disrespect ends up happening. Now, person number one that used to be red, now they're feeling kind of sunshiny yellow. They're feeling good. They disrespected somebody else. And now the person that they disrespected, all of that got put onto the person that in the previous slide here was feeling all sunshiny, and now they're feeling kind of gloomy and not doing so well. So what do we want to have happen? We don't want to let somebody put their baggage or put their bad day onto us. We want them to have it go up and come down and miss us. Okay, I hope you guys like this little artistic thing. I hope that wasn't a complete fail with my stick figures. Anyways, so let's talk about how we do this. Tip number one, we got to review this. This is stop, walk, and talk. Stop, walk, and talk is an awesome way to handle these situations for a lot of reasons. It's still my favorite way to handle disrespectful behavior because you clearly communicate to other people that you do not appreciate the disrespectful behavior that is going on and that you're not going to tolerate it. You hold your ground and you let them know in a responsible, non-combative way that you're not going to be disrespected. It clearly communicates to the other party that their disrespect is not acceptable, and it shows the other party that you will not be an easy target to spew or to project their negative energy and emotion onto. Let's review really quick. You can say stop many different ways. Remember to find a way that is genuine and authentic to you. Hey, I don't appreciate whatever that behavior is. Please stop. What you are doing is really bothering me. Please stop. Please stop that. I don't appreciate being disrespected. Please don't disrespect me like that. Hey, I'm not cool with you, whatever that behavior is. I'd appreciate being treated with more respect than that. Or when you, whatever that behavior it is, that really bothers me. Please stop. The most important thing is to do something that's genuine and authentic that works for you. Do something that fits the situation. Again, to review, you say stop, and if the behavior doesn't stop, then you calmly walk away and put time and distance between yourself and whoever is disrespecting you. If they follow you or that disrespectful behavior continues, then we want to tell an adult. Tip number two, ignore the disrespectful behavior. Ignoring the disrespectful behavior is a great strategy to use because you are refusing to give the other party what they want. Remember, the other party wants to project and put it onto you, which is seeing you get upset, seeing you get sad, seeing you get angry, embarrassed, insecure, etc. You not only are failing to give the disrespectful party what they want, but you're not giving them anything at all when you are ignoring them. It's like you put up a wall and you shield it. In a way, your response is implicitly saying, not only am I not going to give you what you want, but it bothers me. Whatever you are doing to try to disrespect me, it bothers me so little, it's not even worth me responding to. And if you think about that, that's a very powerful message to send. Think of disrespect as a fire. Fire needs fuel to continue burning. When you don't put fuel on the fire, it'll dissipate and it'll burn out. So how do we put fuel on the fire? We put fuel on the fire by getting upset, by getting sad, by getting angry, by getting embarrassed, by getting insecure, and giving the disrespectful party what they want. So tip number two, ignore the disrespectful behavior. If you can get this down, you'd be so pleasantly surprised at how well it works. Tip number three, use humor to diffuse the disrespect. This strategy works very much like tip number two in the fact that it doesn't give the disrespectful party what they want. It doesn't put fuel on the fire. We just talked about that. And instead of ignoring, your response sent an implicit message that I'm not getting upset, angry, insecure, or agitated by your comment or behavior. I'm actually going to do the opposite. I'm so secure that I'm going to crack a joke and laugh about this with you. You're not going to ruin my day or get under my skin, or you're nowhere near taking the disrespectful person seriously. When we use humor to to respond from the disrespectful behavior, again, it's not giving the disrespectful party what they want. Some people have a really good sense of humor like myself. This is something that I used growing up and I still use to this day. I'll crack a joke, I'll put it on me, I'll even try owning it. Yeah, I am super tall and clumsy when I'm refereeing sometimes, or whatever. Yeah, I did trip and fall on the floor. I tripped on that line right there. Whatever it is, you own it, you laugh about it, and when you're doing that, you're not letting somebody get under your skin and give them what they want. All right, this week's quote of the week comes from Miss Eleanor Roosevelt, and this quote is, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." And that word inferior for some of you that may not be familiar with that vocabulary term, means you don't feel good enough. And that's what disrespectful behavior is really about, is we have one party trying to project onto somebody else and trying to make them feel inferior, trying to make them feel inferior than their best. And what this quote is trying to say is that nobody can do that unless you let them. Okay? And I think that's very important, to never let anybody disrespect you, but to stand your ground and to handle it appropriately. And like my stick figure show, just kind of step to the side and not let somebody spew that disrespect onto you.
All right, this week's Jelly Bean Question of the Week winners: Alex Gill, Ashton Denning, Maximus Murray, Lane Petrie, Kaylee Lewis Christ, and Gene Simmons. The answer was 194. Nice work, crew. This week's Jelly Bean Question of the Week: two siblings have the same parents and were born at the same hour on the same day of the same month, but are not twins. How could this be possible? If you think you know the answer, submit your answer to the Bob Box. Make sure your first and last name's on it. Tune in next week. See if you are going to be the winner recipient of a spoonful of jelly beans. All right, Bobcats, let's make it a great week at the Helena Middle School.